Da I chi I gyd a chroeso oedfa boreol. Mae'n hyfryd I weld chi aelod a chyfeillion. A warm welcome to members and friends this beautiful spring morning. Also, thank you, Peter, for joining us this morning in our worship, accompanying us with Paul. Nawr ta, fy nhw'n ni ganu gyda gilydd yr emyn agoriadol, emyn 797, hymn number 797. Daeth Iesu i'n calon I fyw. What a wonderful change has been made in me since Jesus came into my heart. O fath niwyd rhyfeddol o wnaed anod fi. Daeth Iesu i'n calon I fyw. Torodd gwair a fe enaid at hebwyd fy ngri. Daeth Iesu i'n calon I fyw. Cwyd llawenydd fy mron, megis ton ar ôl ton. Daeth Iesu i'n canol I fyw.
Oh
Felly, fydron ni at benod 8 yr efengil ar ôl Ion, tudalen 281 yn y llyfr hwn. So turning now to page 271 in the Testament. Yr wraig oedd wedi ei dal mewn godineb. Ond aeth Iesu I fynydd yr olwyd. Yn y bore bach daeth eto i'r teml, ac yr oedd y bobl I gyd yn dod ato, wedi iddo eistedd a dechrau ei dysgu. Dyma'r ysgrifenyddion a Phariseaid yn dod a graig ato oedd wedi ei dal mewn godineb, a'i roi I sefyll yn y canol. Athro, meddent wrtho, y mae wraig hon wedi ei dal yn ei weithred o odynebu. Gochmynodd Moses yn y gyfraith I ni labwyddo gwragaidd o'r fath. Beth sydd gen y ti i'w ddweud? Dweud hyn yr oeddent mwyn roi prawf arno a chael cyhoeddiad i'r ddwyn yn ei erbyn. Plygodd Iesu I lawr ac ysgrifennodd ar y llaw ei fus. Ond gan ei bod yn dal ati I ofyn y cwestiwn iddo, ymsythodd a meddai wrthynt, pwy bynnag ohonych chi sy'n dibechod, gadewch I hwnnw I fod yn gyntaf I daflu cerrig ati. Let him who it without sin amongst you be the first to throw a stone at her. Yna, plygodd eto at ysgrifenna at y llawr. A ddechreuodd y rai oedd wedi clywed fynd allan un ar ôl llall, y rai hynaf yn gyntaf, nes Iesu gael ei adael ar ei ben ei hun a rai gynno yn y canol. Yn sythodd Iesu a gofyn iddi, Wraig, ble maint? Ond nid oes neb wedi gondemnio. Meddai hithau, neb sir, ac meddai Iesu, nid wyf fi ffinnaid ei gymdenio chwaith. Does ac o hyn allan, paid a phechu mwyach. Jesus stood up and said to her, Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? She said, No one, Lord. And Jesus said, Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on, sin no more. May God add his blessing to the reading of his word. A nawr ta. Felly, yr ail emyn yw 540 a 5. Our second hymn is 545. Christ rose from the depth of the grave to wear the crown of peace. Dychafodd Christ o waelid bedd, goruwch yn efodd wen, lle'r eisedd a'r oesedd fainc hedd, ei goron ar ei ben. Hymn number 545. Felly cyfle nawr I draw at Dduw mewn gweddi. Cydwyddion. Diolch I ti a'n tad am y cyfle hwn I ymgynnell yn ei enw dy fab I gannu ei glodydd, darllen a'i gwneud ei daithfiadau. Rydyn ni'n dod fel rhan fach o eglwys ar y ddaia, ac rydyn ni ymuno ei eglwys gyfan ar y ddaia, a chymnu'r nefoedd uchod wrth ei cydnabod ti fel Duw ofnadw, a ddatgelwyd I Moses, Duw cofiawn a ddatgelwyd trwy proethwydi, Duw hardd a ddatgelwyd trwy salmau, a harddwyth a ddaiar a Duw gwirionydd a ddatgelir trwy ymdrechion ddeallusol y byd hynafol a modern, ond yn anad dim fel y datgelodd Duw cariad I ni trwy ddisgaiddiaeth y bywyd ei fab Iesu Christ. As we come before you, Lord, to give you glory and humbly make our petitions, we come in dread as Adam and Eve cast out of Eden, in awe as Moses met you at the burning bush, but most of all, we come in the love shown to us by your Son, Jesus Christ. Rydyn ni'n diolch I ti, Dduw, ar y holl fendithion, rydyn ni a'i mwynhau a phlesurau, a mae bywyd yn ei roi I ni, yn cefnogaeth a'n teulu a'i ffrindiau a chysur y dealltriad. Rydyn ni yn cydnabod Christ fel siampl I ni a'i ddilyn. Rydyn ni sylweddoli y cryfder mae Christ yn ei roi I ni I niwyd y byd. Rydym ni'n teimlo ein gyfnogaeth, ein gwaith a'i hamdden hefyd. Rydyn ni'n gweld y beth y dydd yn dod pan fydd y ddaia yn dod mwy fel y nefoedd. We come thankful for all good things around us, for our family and friends and the comfort of strangers, and our strongest prayer is that earth may be more like heaven, more just, more beautiful, more contented, more stable and ever peaceful. Rydyn yn cydnabod am maethiant I wneud ei ewyllus. Rydyn yn cydnabod ein bod yn methu a dderbyn ei ewyllus, a bob bawb a caisio ei ewyllus ei hun. Rydyn yn cydnabod nad yn ei wedi bwydio ei ddefaid. Mae'n rhaid I ni gyd basio heibio yn aml yr ochr arall. Fel arfer, ni ddim yn dyweldi yn y wyneb estron, yn ei allon sylweddoli y gallwn gwrdd y tŷ yn y pwyn yn y byd. Hefyd, rydyn yn cydnabod nad ymrym wedi maddau y rai sydd wedi gwneud cymwyddau bach a ni, dy fod wedi addo maddau popeth I ni, ac mae ti yw'r Duw a fi farw am cymwyddau a wnaethom yn ei bwyadau. We acknowledge that we have not always been steadfast in acknowledging your importance and not always prepared to carry on your work. Loving and faithful God, we thank you for those doing thy work here and beyond. Duw cariad y ffyddlondeb, diolch am bob un sydd dychafu dy gariad a ffyddlondeb, ein gwyndogion a diaconed, a bobl eraill yma ac yn bob man, mae nhw sy'n ysbrydoli eraill i'w hamlygu. Bydded y fflam dy gariad llosgi yno, ni a fyrioli pob caledwch ac ymlid bob casineb. Bydded i'th gariad weithio trwyom a feithrin llawenydd ym mha le bynnag y byddwn, y llawenydd yna all neb na dim y ddwyn o ddei arnym. Extinguish hatred and animosity in our hearts, that we might renounce all bitterness and display your loving kindness in words and deeds. How easy it is to cast aspersions, to poke fun, to say unkind things and carry tales. Stones we can throw, hurting others and diminishing ourselves. Yet we know you have promised to forgive our faults. We know that you love us beyond measure, and we recognize in our selfishness we disobey the central commandments to love God and our neighbors as ourselves, bring us short, and always make us think before we act, so we can behave more and more as you would have us do, with kindness, but without condescension. Tra'n bod ni'n meddwl am boen sydd yn y byd, bydd gyda ni yn ein gweddïau. Gadewch I mi feddwl am y pobl ym mharthau rhyfel y byd, y sefydliad dynywyd, a hefyd y milwyr a bob ochr. Gweddion dros y rai sy'n caisio llefydd dioddefaint a gwleidyddion a allai helpu a ddatrys y peryglon. Y bobl yn y Sudan arbennig yn y Khartoum, y bobl yn Syria ac yn Iraq, yn y Yemen, yn Afghanistan, y bobl in Ukraine, Hong Kong, everywhere in the world, Lord, where there are wars, disasters, displacements, ethnic cleansing, refugees, discrimination on the grounds of race, gender, sexual orientation. We pray for peace, reconciliation, and comfort for those suffering. Gadewch I ni feddwl am y rai o'n teulu dynol sydd mewn poen bwyd yn gorfforol yn emosiynol yn ysbrydol. Awn ni mewn i'w calawnau am ha bynnag ffyrdd y gall yna lleddfu a dioddefaint y roi heddwch iddynt. Arglwydd, helpu ni gydnabod poen y rai o'ch gwmpas ac adnabod mewn ffordd sy'n cydnabod a dioddefaint ac ymateb gyda charedigrwydd a phryder. Gadewch I ni feddwl am y rai o teulu na allond fod yma, y sal a bregus. Byddwch gyda nhw arglwydd a bydd y wylen a ffôn a cyswyro. In praying, Lord, that the comfort of thy rod and staff be extended to all those in troubled areas of the world and to those near to us in distress, let us also remember our members and friends who are unable to be with us this morning. Our hopes and prayers are with them. Before the Lord's Prayer, listen to the prayer of St. Patrick. Christ with me, Christ within me, Christ behind me, Christ before me, Christ beside me, Christ to win me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ in quiet, Christ in danger, Christ in hearts of all that love me, Christ in mouth of friend and stranger. Amen.
Wel, croeso cynnes iawn I bawb yn aelodau, yn gyfeillion ac yn ymwelwyr i'n hoedfa bore yma. Very warm welcome to members, friends and visitors to our service this morning. A croeso hefyd, wrth gwrs, I bawb sy'n ymuno ni ar YouTube. A ni'n diolchgar iawn I Richard Perkins am gamu mewn I arwain yr oedfa bore yma. Ni'n gwybod fod e'n ymchwilio ei destun yn drylwyr, yn paratoi'n ofalus ac yn siŵr o ddalun sylw. We're very grateful to Richard for stepping in to lead the service this morning, and we're looking forward to his meditation and, of course, to opening our envelopes, our mystery envelopes. Our minister will have returned from Wales for the Bible discussion group today at 4:30 and will be in the pulpit for the evening service at 6. We're also very grateful to Paul for his valuable contribution on the organ and the lovely jubilant duets with Peter Duckworth this morning. I think they've made us all smile. Diolch yn fawr iawn I chi. Sul nesaf bydd ein gweinidog wrth y lliw fel arfer yn oedfa'r bore ac yn oedfa gymyn yr hwyr gyda chylch trafod am hanner awr wedi 4. After next Sunday's evening communion service, the Chapel Curry Club will dine at a favourite local haunt. Dydd Mercher Canol Dydd bydd oedfa anffurfiol yn y neuadd islaw gyda the a chyfle am sgwrs I ddilyn. A hefyd mae'n dristwch gyda fi orfod cyhoeddi y bydd angladd Mary Wintle, un o'n hanwyl aelodau ar dyddiau hwn, Mae'r Pedwerydd, yn amlosgfa slaw am hanner awr wedi hanner dydd. Tickets are already on sale for our celebrity organ recital on July the 1st with Thomas Trotter performing. And please have a word with Rob or Paul about the tickets. Cofiwch ddod lawr i'r neuadd I cael te a chyfle am sgwrs ar ôl yr oedfa. Ac yn awr fydd awn nhw amgylch I dderbyn eich rhoddion. Diolch yn fawr.
Trydydd emyn yw 738, 738. Hymn number 738 is our next hymn. Lord, hear our prayer. Gwrando Iesu a fy ngweddi, clwy y geiriau, clwy fy llef, Cloi y diolch sy'n fy galon am I ti ddod lawr o ne. Mae gyfolydd... Sorry, mae'n drwg dy fi. 739, mae'n drwg dy fi. 739. The third hymn, the next hymn, is hymn number 739. Mae'n drwg dy fi. O fy Iesu bendigedig, unig gwmni fe wnaid gwan, ym mhob ydfryd a thallodion, a dal fy mosbeth llesgyr lan, a thram tefler ymac acw, a'r anwadol doniau'r byd, cymoth ro I ddal fy nghafael, yno ti sy un o hyd. Hymn number 739 is the next hymn. Pa mor aml allan ni glywed y frawddeg mae llun yn werth mil o eiriau. The Russian writer Ivan Turgenev wrote in 1861, "The drawing shows me at one glance what might be spread over 10 pages of a book." Even Napoleon said, "A good sketch is better than a long speech." But the phrase has been spoofed by computer scientist John McCarthy to make the opposite point. As the Chinese say, and I think he was joking, 1,001 words is worth more than a picture. Well, I have 2 pictures and a few thousand words probably, but as some of the words come from the gospel, I'm afraid words win in this particular debate. However, I am going to say a little bit about the use of pictures in worship. Let me begin by saying that in our tradition, it is the word, logos, spoken or sung, that features more or less exclusively. Yn y dechreuodd o'r gair, yr oedd y gair gyda Duw, a Duw oedd y gair. Christ is God that dwelt amongst us. Now, it was Calvin that insisted that the words in the Bible, and Calvin's own several hour-long sermons and a few hymns would say it all. The hope, of course, is in every interest that the words of the sermon and the liturgy and the singing of hymns would strengthen belief and prompt Christian thought and action in the forthcoming week to further God's kingdom on earth and make us all better human beings, making us kinder, more thoughtful, and better Christians. Now, despite this church's non-denominational or interdenominational credentials, here in East Castle too, the visual remains under suspicion. As Free Church people, as our Jewish brothers and sisters, and those who follow the Prophet Muhammad, remember perhaps the second commandment. Na nai ti delwe gerfiedig, na llun dim ar sydd yn y nefod uchog, nac ar sydd yn y ddaya isod, nac ar sydd yn y dwfwr tan y ddaya, na grymu iddynt ac na wasanaeth I hwnt. Don't make for yourself a graven image or a picture or bow down and worship it. Well, we certainly shouldn't worship pictures and statues. Here we have no crucifixes, preferring the cross, the empty cross. Actually, when I first came into this church, I was shocked even by the empty cross, because I was brought up in a chapel where written on the wall behind the pulpit was Addoli Duw, and that was thought to be more than enough, or at least enough. So I was taken aback, but I have, over the years, changed my mind somewhat. I was a little surprised on the Saturday afternoon trip last year to hear one of our members say that she found it really difficult in Salisbury Cathedral to wonder how statues and pictures and stained glass windows could be possibly anything other than a distraction to proper worship and praise. But so perhaps in the spirit of ecumenicalism, I want to talk in favour of visual images and argue against casting stones against our Catholic and Orthodox brothers and sisters who use them extensively. I also want to remind you that a very shameful part of our history, that is, I mean, very low church people or people who wanted simply to have independent churches, a shameful part of our history is the iconoclastic destruction by the Puritans in the Civil War of every statue that they could wantonly lay their hands on. It was, by many accounts, the worst such act of destruction of art ever committed in Europe and perhaps beyond. Let us be mindful also that it's equally possible to fetishize and idolize things other than statues and pictures. Some revere, almost idolize, the Book of Common Prayer. Some, the Welsh language. Some, hymn singing. And whilst we say the Holy Bible, it is God we are to worship and not the book itself. Whilst we are here to feel God's presence and understand Jesus better, do we need to close our hearts and minds and eyes to other things beyond words that might illuminate and deepen our understanding of God and Christ's love for us. Always remembering that images are to help worship and never to be objects of worship themselves. So, nurtured by the spirit of ecumenicalism, I suggest we could return more often to the arts beyond music to help deepen our understanding of God's love for us and Christ's understanding of the human predicament. I have discovered a wonderful website called Christian Art, which shows a different work of art every day and explains it in the context of the Christian message. So I'm going to suggest that those who feel comfortably doing so either switch on their mobile phones and Google Michelangelo's creation. I wouldn't be able to do it because my phone would just go blaring with all sorts of noises and messages. But if you're comfortable to do that, if not, you can open the envelope that you've been given. Those people at home could similarly Google Michelangelo's creation. Here we have the allegory of the creation. It's the painting of God and Adam, that masterpiece on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel in St. Peter's at Rome. If you can't actually see it, perhaps you can recall to your mind's eye the roof of the Sistine Chapel. Look at the picture. Some would say that this painting is the most significant painting ever accomplished, an amazing work of art, near to perfection, that any human artifact could be. It shows God having endowed his creation with free will, giving us the capacity to be at least part authors of our own lives. What a responsibility and what a gift. The picture shows an active God stretching out towards Adam. Adam's attitude to God, on the other hand, seems rather half-hearted, a bit like ours. A rather languid young man inclines his arm tentatively towards the good. Such a close depiction of how we often are. Humans incline to the good, but somehow we miss the mark. God's hand never quite touches Adam's. Christ, of course, is the link that reveals to us that our clear path to the good, to connecting with the absolute good. Now, if you have your phones open, you could Google Bruegel, B-R-U-G-H-E-L, 1565, woman caught in adultery. Or you could look at the other picture. So this second picture is made in 1565 by the Flemish painter Bruegel, painted in shades of one colour. We find the story, as I've read already, in the Gospel according to St. John. Yn y cefnder allan I ddweud bod mae Iesu wedi dod i'r Caersalem, to Jerusalem, daeth bant o gefn wlad. A bit of the backstory is that it's Jesus' time to return to Jerusalem and face his accusers there. Roedd wedi esgoi fod ei arestio blaen, of course, ond mae Phariseaid a sgrifenyddion eisiau dal I fe allan. Yn y bennod flaenorol, roedd yr awdurdodau crefyddol wedi anfon swyddogion allan I ochr y wlad I ddod a Iesu yn ôl I Jerusalem I ateb y cyhuddiadau a godwyd yn ei herbyn. Ond daeth yn ôl heb Iesu, ymddengys ei bod yn derbyn ei ddilisrwydd. Yes, the religious authorities, the Jewish authorities, were determined to catch Jesus out or to challenge his claim to be the Messiah, the Son of God. But Jesus does come back to Jerusalem of his own accord. Jesus then goes to the temple early in the morning from Mount of Olives, and Jesus taught the people there. Then the Pharisees and scribes drag before him a woman they say has been caught having sex. She's being used as a pawn in the cat and mouse game the religious authorities are playing with Jesus. We might speculate why they try this particular ploy. Well, we know that Jesus shockingly befriended prostitutes. The woman dragged before Jesus is a fallen woman, presumably by some accounts, but we don't have the details. We learned in Luke 7, verse 38, that Jesus accepted a sensual lavishing of precious ointment by a woman most likely to have been a sex worker. He rebukes his host, who criticizes her for this public display of physical affection. And frankly, what many would say was a terrible waste of money. And then again, in another instance, was when Jesus criticized the Jewish authorities for not believing the message of John the Baptist, Matthew 21, verse 21. Jesus told the religious authorities in the temple that even the tax collectors and prostitutes go to the kingdom of heaven before you. Jesus refused to regard women or people like this as unclean, as was the custom of the local the religious authorities of the day. It is therefore perhaps understandable why religious authorities chose this particular method to try and trick Jesus. So these harsh and cruel accusers drag a poor woman caught having illicit sex. She stands out in the picture as serene compared to her aggressive, cruel, and hypocritical accusers. One missing character, of course, from this scene is the man. As they say, it takes two to tango. Newch chi anghofio dysgu y deg gochmynion pan o'n i'n yr ysgol na yn ysgol Sul. Na i o'n i'n. One of the 10 commandments is that you should commit adultery. And according to her accusers, according to Mosaic law, the penalty is death. Come on, Jesus. Come on, Jesus, tell us, do you agree or not? You say you're here to fulfill the law of Moses. It's likely, as a matter of historical accuracy, the question is likely hypothetical. Roman law did not permit Jewish courts to exercise the death penalty, except, it seems, in the case of a Gentile intruding into the inner court of the temple. The authorities, though, could flog and probably decree a person worthy of death, but executions not authorized by the Romans were illegal. But in any case, this must have been a most terrifying experience. Mirrored, I'm told, in a way, sometimes, by denunciations in chapel and expulsions for unmarried girls getting pregnant, even in living memory. Now look at the picture. Look at Jesus' body language. Whilst all this badgering is going on, Jesus has assumed a low position, is writing on the dust with his finger. We're not told what he's writing in the dust, but our picture gives one possible answer. And even if your Flemish is a little rusty, I'm sure you can work out what is there. Look at where Christ has positioned himself against the Pharisees and the scribes. The picture is true to the gospel story. The King of Glory, the Prince of Peace, the perfectly good and just, God incarnate, puts himself below this unseemly fray. His position is non-confrontational, non-judgmental. What a lesson to us when we are inclined to condemn the other, to be self-righteous and all-knowing with the weaknesses or the differences of others. Cododd Iesu, beth dwedodd e? Hwn sydd di bechod ohonoch tafled yn gyntaf garem ati. Hi. Let him that hath not sinned amongst you cast the first stone. Having delivered that speech, Jesus returns to his seated position. He carries on writing. One by one, the accusers go away, beginning with the eldest. Jesus asked the woman what has happened to her accusers. Has no one condemned you? No, sir, none. We do not know the circumstances of this woman caught making love, having sex outside marriage. Was he with a boyfriend, or did they just both get carried away? Was she forced to have sex by some creditor? We don't know. The truth is, we will never know. But Christ's reply has diffused such a horrible circumstance. And he tells that he doesn't condemn her either, just saying, go and sin no more. Perhaps the story tells us something about Christ's attitude to sensuality and sexuality relative to the hurtful cruelties of the Pharisees and the scribes and the hypocrites. If you look again at the picture and look at the floor in the picture, you will see 2 stones not far from the feet of the woman's accuser. They are reminders to us. I have to remind you this morning, sadly, on such a beautiful, lovely morning, I have to remind you that there are parts of the world where stoning to death still exists, and for adultery too. I'm not going to depress you with going into the disgusting details of how that is done in countries like Saudi Arabia, but we have a duty to protest. But let us also remind ourselves, to a somewhat different level, there are stones available for us to hurl at people we disapprove of too. Cyfeillion, a allan ni fod yn sicr dyn ni ydym yn taflu cerrig. Mae'n ffrwydro'n ryfel gyda ni i daflu at bobl eraill yn bob man mae e. Geiriau angharedig, clecs anghywir, yn syniadau rhywiol. Ydyn yn sicr bod ni ddim yn bwrw gerrig fel hyn? Yes, we can and do say hurtful things sometimes unthinkingly and sometimes with intent. And in so doing, we are also hurting Christ. I've chosen 2 examples in the hope that you agree with me that art can help us understand the divine. I thoroughly recommend you to take a look at the website Christian Art. There's something every day. There is a picture every day. Our pictures this morning remind us that God has given us a free will and is stretching out towards us, to find us. And in the second, we see God in the person of Jesus diffusing hatred, cruelty, and hypocrisy. Lord, help us freely to diffuse aggressive behavior and refrain ourselves from being over-judgmental about those who are often more victim than culprit and whose circumstances are quite unknown to us. E gogonion te enw. Amen. Felly, yr emyn olaf yw 140. Our closing hymn is 140. Fy arglwydd yw daw i'n bachedig ofn wrth feddwl am hôl waith ddwylod i yng nghan y ser yr i y daran ddofon drwy'r creadol dy rym a welafi. Hymn 140. Gras a'n harglwydd Iesu Grist a chariad Duw a chymdaithas yr ysbryd glân, aros gyda ni yr awr hon a cydbyth. Amen.